Just a second. Okay, so today we'll discuss about the new topics. Okay, that is logolytic workspace. We keep the agenda. Okay, so we'll discuss about the log analytics workspace. Okay, this is also one of the monitoring solution. So wherein we can capture the logs and we can perform certain customized metrics. And we'll also discuss about the automation account. Okay, and within automation account we have a concept called Runbook. So what is this Runbook is about? Okay, so we'll discuss about them in detail today. So let's get started with the log analytic workspace. Okay, so if you remember in the beginning, okay, so as a monitoring solution we discussed about Azure Monitor, right? So by using Azure Monitor, okay, so visualizing the metrics and setting up the alerts, right? So in between, okay, we see some more thing, query and analyze logs. I told you like we'll discuss about this topic later, right? So let's cover this particular topic today. And here you could see, okay, the same option here, that is logs. Okay, this is the log analytic workspace. So whereas, okay, we can capture the logs of your subscription level, or maybe resource level, or maybe entire any type of logs we can capture, and we can store it in a log analytic workspace. And from there, okay, we can fetch some custom metrics. Okay, so whatever the metrics that you see on a VM level, okay, those are like system defined metrics, right? Apart from that, like if you wanted to get any additional metrics like a performance metric, performance logs or a security log, let's say I'm talking about on a VM level, but a specific VM, if at all if I wanted to capture only performance log, or maybe only security logs, or maybe any additional like IIS web server logs, right? So those kind of logs, if you wanted to customize it and capture it, okay, we'll be using a logolytic workspace. Okay, so let me go to the logolytic workspace. Here you could see logolytic workspace, and this logolytic workspace, okay, will be creating in each and every environment. Okay, so if you have a Azure subscription, okay, so definitely, okay, they will be using a workspace. Okay, this is one of the monitoring solution to capture the logs and to perform the analysis using those logs. Okay, I see somebody has created a logolytic workspace, and this is good. So, but anyways, okay, I'll go ahead and create a one more now. Okay, let me go ahead and click and add one more logolytic workspace here. So if you see here, okay, so here you could see, okay, with Azure logs, you can easily store, retain, and query data collected from your monitoring solutions in Azure and other environments for the valuable insights. Other environments is nothing but, so we can also capture the logs of your on-premises servers also. Let's say if there are any servers running on your on-premises environment, okay, which they have hosted on on-premises itself, we can capture those logs also. Okay. A log analytics workspace is the logical storage unit where your logs data is collected and stored. Okay, it is kind of like a logical unit, okay, kind of storage, whereas okay, we can capture the logs. Let me quickly show you how many ways we can capture the logs. So I'll go ahead and create a new log analytic workspace here. And for that, okay, let me choose any one of the resource group here. I'll go with this virtual RG, and let me name one name here. I'll say demo log analytics. And by the way, okay, while we creating a log analytics workspace, these special characters will not be accepted. Okay, I would say demo log analytics. Okay, so and this log analytics workspace also should be unique. Okay, it is still validating the name, and we are good. Okay, and I have given the reason where I wanted to host this particular log analytics workspace. Good. And coming to the pricing tier and the next tab. Okay, so here the pricing of this particular logolytic workspace will be calculated based on the per GB how much we are storing. Okay, so if at all if you wanted to see complete pricing here, maybe you can go through the pricing here. Okay, so Azure Monitor pricing, and in which okay I wanted to see for the logolytic workspace. Okay, so under this logolytic workspace, let's say if I collect a logs of 100 GB per day. Okay, so I will be charged this much per day. Okay, so effectively per GB, okay, it will be like per GB it is costing me almost $200. 200 I mean sorry, $2.20 per GB. Okay, so this is how, okay, so the pricing will be calculated upon the number of size of the logs that you capture into the logolytic workspace. Okay, so let me come back here. So by default, okay, here you will be not having any option to change it. So let's go with the default. So I'm not providing any tags. So maybe as a best practice, okay, you have to provide the tags. So let me review and create a workspace here. So in the meantime, okay, so let me go back to the certain VMs here. So let's see, do I have any VMs here? And let me have a look. Yeah, I do have a certain VMs here, and let me quickly start those VMs. Let me go back to the virtual machines once again, and they are all hosted on a vSphere. Oh, great. Okay. Let me start all those VMs. Okay, just to show you some demos for now. Okay, I just started the VMs also, and in the meantime, let me walk you through certain documents here. Okay, so Azure Logolytic Workspace docs. Okay, so if I go to this certain images first, okay, so here you could see, uh, yeah, yes, okay, let me capture this image first. As you could see here, so Azure Log Analytic Workspace is also one of the monitoring solution only. Okay, we have seen about the metrics, okay, in the beginning. Okay, when we have created a VMs, okay, after creating VM, I have shown you creating a separate dashboard and fetching the default metrics, right? So now, okay, we can also capture the logs. These logs could be like your Azure subscription logs. Subscription logs means we went and here we have seen, right? Let's say if I go back to my subscription, and under my subscription I have an activity log. These are the logs, right? So I can capture this entire logs and I can just perform certain analytics. I can perform some analysis. Same way, okay, Azure resources logs. Okay, we can capture the VM level logs. Okay, within a VM performance log, security log, like a web server logs. Okay, or maybe operating system level logs. Okay, or maybe application level logs. Everything we can capture here, and we can analyze those using those logs, and we can just visualize them. Okay, into the different monitoring solutions. Okay, if you see here, Power BI is also one of the monitoring solution wherein we can visualize your logs and put a certain reports. Okay, so whatever the monitoring solution that you wanted, okay, by using this logolytic workspace we can capture it and you can visualize it. Okay, and let me come back here. I'll go back to this logolytic workspace. Okay, so this is my logolytic workspace which I have created. All right, so here you could see, let me quickly walk you through certain overview details here. Okay, here you could see all the details like which under which resource group and the name of the workspace and workspace ID. When you create a workspace ID will be generated like a subscription ID and the tenant ID we have seen, right? Same as like that, and a region and a subscription and all these things. Okay, and if I come down, okay, you could see certain getting started logolytic workspace, certain documents. Okay, how we can collect the data. Okay, what are the data sources? Okay, we can have. If I come down, okay, here you could see these are the data sources. That means, okay, we can capture the data logs of virtual machines, storage account logs, system center logs, Azure activity logs, and this is something is in a preview mode. Okay, so here you could see we can capture the logs of both Windows and Linux machines. Okay, so for that, okay, we have to install an agent. Okay, so how we can capture the Azure activity log? Okay, these things, okay, we can see how we can monitor the how we can configure the monitoring solution. Here you could see. Okay, so how we can monitor the workspace health. Okay, here you can go ahead and see. Okay, so from here, okay, you can also navigate to the documentation site. Okay, Azure monitor overview. So within this, okay, so this is what I was showing you just now, wherein we can capture the logs and analyze it. And yeah, this is the diagram. And these are the metrics what we have seen on a VM level. Apart from metrics, okay, we can capture the logs also from the log analytic workspace. Okay, let me come back here. So if at all, if I wanted to capture, let's say first I wanted to see how we can capture the subscription logs. Okay, when I say subscription logs, okay, we just now we went to the subscription page, and from there, okay, I have shown you the activity log, right? So let's say if at all if I wanted to connect this particular logolytic workspace to the subscription logs, I can go back to the log analytic workspace, and here I can come back to the data sources. So here you can just click on this particular Azure activity log, and here you could see the name of the subscription, and you can see the status of the connection here. It is not connected. Okay, if at all if you wanted to perform the connection, just click on it, and here you have an option to connect. Just click on this particular connect option. So once it is done, okay, so now we will be able to see the status as connected. Now with what it does is it will capture the all the logs, okay, whatever you have it on a subscription Azure activity log, those logs will be captured into the workspace. And later if you wanted to perform certain queries, let's say I want to figure out if anyone, by using any one of the user, okay, what are the activities he has performed, okay, you can just using this particular queries, okay, we can easily get it. Okay, let's say myself, okay, today I log in with my account, okay, Azure Ramakrishna. I wanted to see Azure Ramakrishna has performed what level activities on this particular subscription. If I wanted to see, I can easily perform it by using certain queries. Okay, we'll discuss about those queries now. Let's discuss about collecting the data first. So here under as part of data sources, now I have collected the Azure logs, Azure subscription logs. This is also very important even in the interview point of view. How do you collect the Azure subscription logs or VM logs? Okay, we'll create a workspace and we'll go to the data sources, and we'll go to the Azure activity log if at all if you wanted to capture the subscription level logs, and we'll go here and we'll click on connect, and it will be connected all the logs. It will take some time for collecting your logs. And let's say if at all if I wanted to capture the virtual machine logs, okay, as soon as I click on this particular virtual machine, and here I could see all the virtual machine which are different resource group, different regions altogether, and a different operating system also. Okay, uh, before I go ahead and click on this, okay, let me show you certain view here. Azure VM Logaltic workspace MMA agent. Okay, okay, so I'm just trying to show you certain demos. What will happen is whenever you capture the logs, okay, from a VM, okay, how that activity should happen. Okay, that activity should happen from an agent. Okay, so let's say let me try to see whether it will. Yeah, this will work. Okay, okay. So maybe forget about this automation account now. Let's talk about this particular for this thing now. Okay, let's say this is your local system and this is your Microsoft, and this is for setting up your on-premises workspace. Okay, let's say what happens is, okay, so whenever you try to capture the logs of any virtual machines, what will happen is, okay, let me duplicate this window. So when you say connect, okay, I'm saying this Windows machine, I'll go to this on-premises AD. Okay, when you say click on connect, okay, what will happen is in the back end a agent will be installed on the virtual machine. That agent we call it as MMA agent. Okay, we call it as a MMA agent, that is Microsoft monitoring agent. Okay, so this is for the Windows virtual machines. When you enable a log analytic workspace for the VMs to capture the logs, a separate agent will be installed on the VMs, that is MMA agent. Okay, so let's say now if I go back to this VMs here, let me go to the VMs. I have enable the agent on a on-premises VM, right? So if at all if I wanted to see any extensions here, okay, I can go to this particular extension here, and here you could see it is transitioning. That means okay, it is installing the agent now. Okay, that is Microsoft monitoring agent. This is very very important when you talk about capturing the logs of any virtual machines into log analytic workspace. Same way, we can also capture the logs of your on-premises servers by installing this agent called Microsoft monitoring agent. Simply remember MMA agent, you could say. Okay, and you could see the status of this particular agent. Okay, it is still in transitioning, it is not yet provisioned yet. Okay, that means okay, in the backend it is still installing the particular agent. Okay, let's say if I go back to the another Windows machine, okay, let's say this is another Windows machine. I'll go back to the virtual machine VM01, and here I'll go back to the extensions. And if you see under extensions, I don't see any agent here now. Now let me go back here. Okay, this is already connected, and this is the another one which Windows virtual machine, right? I'll connect this logs also. Let me click on connect. As soon as I click on connect, if you go back to this VM and if I come back and do a refresh here, you will be able to see another agent is installing here on this particular VM to capture the logs. Okay, so in case of Linux missions, okay, here you could see the status. It is still connecting the connecting. So before connecting, it will install an agent on the VMs by default. So when you go with the Linux missions, okay, here within a Linux mission, a OMS agent will be installed. Okay, let's see that now. I have clicked on the connecting the logs of this particular Linux mission also. So by default, within your environments, once you join any organization, so once you have this particular VMs, by default, okay, they will capture the logs of the servers into the logaltic workspace. Just a second, guys. I'm getting an important call. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so let's see the status here, and it is still connecting the workspace, and it is Linux missions is connected. Let me go to the Linux mission here. Let me verify the extension here for the Windows also. Maybe it is taking some time to show the result. Let me do a refresh on the top. Since I'm using two browsers, so sometimes okay, to reflect those changes, okay, I have to do a refresh. Okay, let me go back to the virtual machines. So first we'll validate the Windows virtual machine, then we'll go back to the Linux one. And can you see now? Okay, for this particular another VM also, a MMA agent is installed. This agent will capture the logs and it will send it to the logaltic workspace, and you can see the provisioning status is succeeded, right? So let me come back here. I'll go back to the Linux machine, and let me come back to the extensions. And for the Linux machines, okay, you can see the extension called OMS agent for Linux. Okay, that means okay, when you enable a you know a logaltic workspace logs to capturing, okay, for the both Windows and Linux. Okay, for the Windows machine, MMA agent will be installed, that is Microsoft monitoring agent. But whereas with Linux, okay, OMS agent will be installed. Okay, and you can see the status has succeeded. Okay, so these agents, okay, will start picking the logs, and it will store it in a logaltic workspace. So the same thing here, okay, you could see the thing which I have done is for the Azure now. Same thing, okay, we can do for the on-premises servers also. Okay, this is your on-premises servers, that is your on-premises data center. Of your on-premises data center servers also, we can capture the logs. Let's say here, if you see, these are the certain VMs. Okay, so here, okay, so log analytics gateway. Okay, that means okay, so you might be opening certain firewalls here, okay, to capture the logs. And this particular logaltic workspace will be running on a port number 443. And within here also we can install this particular agents. Let's say if it is a Windows Vision, we will be installing a Microsoft monitoring agent, and that agent will capture the logs and will store it in a logaltic workspace. Once we store the logaltic workspace, okay, we can perform certain automation, okay, by using this automation account. We will discuss it now after this particular topic. So let's come back here, and if you see here, I'm done with capturing the subscription logs as well as virtual machine logs, and here you could see the status, it is succeeded. Same way, if you wanted to capture the logs of any storage account logs, okay, I can simply connect it here, and I can choose the storage account. At this moment, I do not have any storage accounts on my subscription. It seems. Let me validate it. Yeah, I do not have any storage account. Okay, so maybe yeah. If you have any storage account, I can choose it, and I can choose the data type and the source. I can just click on save, so that this particular storage account logs also will be captured. So this is something about how we can create a logaltic workspace and how we can capture the logs. Let's say I was talking about the certain performance logs and security logs, right? So that you can achieve it. Okay, so when you go to this particular settings here, so here you could see the agent management, or maybe agent configuration, or maybe custom logs. Okay, just you can just explore this particular features. Let's say I'll go to this particular agent management. Okay, so here you can see, okay, so when you wanted to install an agent, okay, we have to to authenticate to a workspace. Okay, we need to download this particular agent if you are performing for the on-premises servers. Okay, so here you could see download a Windows agent, 62-bit, 34-bit, and to authenticate to this particular logotic workspace, here we have a workspace ID, primary key, and secondary key. Okay, so this is for the Windows machine. Same way we can have a Linux machines. Okay, for the Linux machines, okay, so we'll here, okay, we'll be installing a OMS agent, and a Linux machines, okay, so we need to do duplicate. Okay, so this is like Linux is a command line based. Okay, so if at all if we wanted to download this particular agent, we need to run this particular command, and for authenticating we need this particular primary key and workspace ID. This is for the agent management. And if you're going back to the configuration, agent configuration, okay, so what type of logs you wanted to capture? Let's say on a Windows level, okay, we can have a Windows event logs, Windows performance counter, and a Linux performance counter, or a sys logs, or a IIS logs. Okay, we can capture all type of these logs, okay, by just doing this particular activity. When I click on add, okay, we can see what type of logs here you could see, and I can just click on apply. Okay, I'm not going to do this now, but okay, I'm just showing on a high level. Okay, and same way, okay, if I go to this particular custom logs, let's say I'll go to the custom logs. Okay, so from here, okay, if at all if I wanted to capture any custom logs, I can just click on it, and I can just browse the file if you have any, okay, which you have captured the logs, and from there, okay, you can just perform certain analytics. And if you are working with any clustering like in a group of VMs, okay, so we can capture those logs also. And if at all if you wanted to link any one of the storage account, okay, we can go ahead and link a storage account from here also. Right, so this is how, okay, so where, okay, how we can capture the logs, okay, which I was discussing at a high level. And now let me go back and see how we can perform certain queries. Okay, so on a log analytic workspace itself, okay, if I come back down and under general, here I could see some option called logs. Okay, when I go back here, okay, so here you could see certain logs, default logs. Let's say I wanted to see response time, operations performed. I wanted to see the operations performed. Okay, so this is the Kusto query language. Okay, so you can just have a query and you can just click on run, and you will be able to see whatever the operations performed on this particular workspace. Okay, here you could see the scope as a workspace. Let's say I wanted to see the scope as a different thing. Okay, so as a scope is nothing but, okay, any specific resource, I would say. Let's say here, okay, I wanted to see any subscription level logs. Let's see. Okay, let me click on apply. So if you see the scope now, I have taken as a complete subscription. Okay, so here you could see, okay, some of the logs, okay, related to the virtual machine. Okay, let me minimize it. And let's say this time, okay, so I wanted to remove this, and I wanted to go to certain basic queries. Okay, when you click on queries, okay, so here it will show you the virtual machine level queries, or else let me clear this one. When I clear this one, okay, here you could see the all the queries. Okay, let's say I wanted to see some queries happened on a subscription level. Okay, these are all the different services. If you wanted to query certain queries, okay, you can just uh, go there. But for now, let me try to do it some queries on a, let's say, logs of 100 last calls, number of calls by API, bandwidth, request size, these are all the queries. Let's say I'll search with a subscription. Let's say subscription here. Okay, so I wanted to see certain activity here. Let's say so logs from Azure activity table. Okay, click on run. So to get this particular logs, let's say here, okay, I wanted to see the logs from the Azure activity. Okay, top 10 by time generated. Like a last top 10 logs will be generated now. Let me click on run. Okay, I think it is not giving any result because okay, it haven't captured the logs yet. It will take some time to capture the logs. Okay, we just initiated just now, right? So this is how okay we can make queries. Okay, so if at all if we wanted to learn the queries more in detail, so maybe okay we can go to this particular more option, or maybe somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so here you could see okay, so getting started with the logs. If you go here, okay, here you could see how we can query this particular logaltic workspace queries and everything. Okay, so these are some of the examples that you can go through how we can monitor, capture the log. And at the same time, let's say if I go to this using logaltic logs. Okay, so if I come down, okay, here I could see certain tutorials. Okay, how okay we can perform the logs. This we call it as a Custo query language. Okay, how we can enter the logs, how we can analyze the logs. I'm just looking for the basic queries here. Yeah, here you could see this is the logs. Okay, whereas search with a network and where time generated 30 minutes ago. Likewise, okay, you can just make many more customizations. Okay, let's say I'll go with the let's say query packs, or else let me go to the logs. Yeah, let me go to the sample queries. I was looking for this. Okay, and here you could say by equipping this equals to how what are the string operators we use. Okay, you can just completely see here. Okay, so let's come down and let me get some basic query here. Okay, so this is a Kusto query language, and if at all if you wanted to get a computer IP, or if at all if you wanted to get the computer heartbeat, okay, we can have to enter this particular query. And let's say I wanted to get any basic one, every security events okay which are captured, and if you wanted to see the activity of those events, okay, you can see it here. And this is something that just to print something, okay, that is fine. Let me keep down. Okay, let's see the heartbeat of any servers here. Okay, let me, if at all if you wanted to capture it, okay, just capture it. You can just go back here and you can choose the source scope as a virtual machine here. If at all if you wanted to capture any logs of any virtual machine. Let's say for now I'll just shortlist here. I'll say virtual machine. Okay, let's say I'll go with this particular virtual machine and let me click on apply. And here you could see, let me remove this. And here I have chosen as a scope as a virtual machine. And let me, see the logs of a virtual machine here. Okay, if I go back here, and yeah, so these are the certain logs okay related to the virtual machine. And if at all if I wanted to see the virtual machine available memory, I can just click and run this particular query. I can just click and run. Okay, it is not if at all if I wanted to see the last 30 minutes, I can just change the time and I can just run it. And let's say I can just save it and I can just import it. But for now, okay, it is not giving the result. Maybe it is still capturing the logs. So that could be one of the reason. Using this, okay, we can just create certain logs from here also, like for certain alerts we can create. Let's say apart from, let's say I wanted to see only heartbeat. Just now here I have captured for the heartbeat, right? Let's say let me click on run. Okay, so here if you see, okay, I'm getting certain output of a server, okay, for the heartbeat. Okay, here you could see the details. Okay, this is the tenant ID, this is the system source manager, and the time generated. Okay, here you could see. Okay, so this is how okay we'll be getting a result, and this result okay we can visualize it also. Like how do you want it to show? Okay, when I go to the chart, okay, as a chart here you could see. Okay, as a chart, if you want to see, you can see that as a chart. Can you please be on mute? Yeah. Okay, and I can say I can just make some many more customizations. Let's say okay, if at all if I wanted to add any other types, okay, I can into this columns I can do that. So I can just if at all if I wanted to see this okay regularly, I can just simply export it, or else I can just pin it to the dashboard. Let's say somewhere I would be having an option to pin it to the dashboard. Let's say share it. Maybe this I cannot, but maybe some of the things, okay, we can directly pin it to the dashboard. How we did for the metrics. Okay, so this is okay. It's a basic example, okay, that you can see. Let's say I wanted to see certain few more no queries. Okay, these are all like related to the virtual machine itself. Let me see the performance related. Okay, I wanted to see the CPU trends. Okay, I can just choose that particular query and I can just click on run it. Okay, it is not giving a certain output because okay, it has to still capture the logs. Okay, let's say let me try to keep last 30 minutes. Let's try to top 10 virtual machine by CPU utilization, virtual machine available memory. Yeah, so the whatever the logs that you wanted, okay, maybe error logs or a diagnosis logs. Okay, so reported errors if you wanted to see, you can just take this log and we can just click on run it here, and you will be able to see the error messages. Okay, so likewise, okay, so the same option, okay, we can have it on a VM blade also. If you go back to the VMs here, let's say I'll go back to the any one of the VM. I'll see one message. How do we monitor application fed on a Linux machine, please? Okay, we'll see that version now. Process ID. Okay, so now, okay, so let me go back to the directly to the Linux virtual machine here. Let's say, okay, so this is my Linux machine, and from here I can directly go back to this particular uh, logs. So since we have enabled the logs for this, okay, I'm just directly going to this particular resource, and from here, okay, I can see the specific logs here. Let's say I would say PID. Let's say, do I get it here, or let's say process ID. Okay, so I can find the Linux kernel events. Okay, Linux kernel events. Okay, what data is collected. Okay, so this is related to the performance. This is related to the okay. Let's say I'll put this one, and if I run it, I don't find any kernel logs at this moment. Okay, any process, the process, okay, which is killed. Okay, I don't see anything here at this moment. Okay, operations failed. Resolve table columns to scale expression killed. If it's permission, okay, that's fine. Uh, Let me come back to your question. Let me monitor application process ID. Maybe since we haven't installed any applications on this particular server, maybe we haven't find it. But let's see. I'll try to Google it. Log analytics workspace query to find application process ID NX. How to query log VM inside secret C managing log analytics workspace agent. Let's go back here. Let me come down. So whereas okay, we can specify certain queries like this. Okay, sample queries. Okay, VM computer summarize. Okay, so that process ID also we have to put it like this. Maybe I need to look for the exact query. Was maybe I'll let you know that. But on a high level, okay, so here okay, we can see certain basic queries. So using those queries, okay, we can capture certain logs. Let's say if at all if you wanted to list of the computer name, DNS, IP, and OS. Okay, let's say let me copy this. I'll come back here and let me replace it with a particular query and let me click on done. Okay, so it will display all the details. Okay, so once it is captured the logs. Okay, I think okay, it is still capturing the logs. It will take minimum 2 hours or 1.5 hours to capture the logs. Once it is done, if at all if you wanted to get a certain details like these, like whereas like uh, operating system name, DNS name, or IPv4, okay, we can just run a sample queries like this. Okay, let me come back where I am. Yeah. Yes. Okay, coming to the process ID also we'll see. Okay, I have to check it. I need to search. Okay, so where virtual machine and a time generator, here you could see. Okay, so list all the known process with a specialized VM. Okay, so say for SQL servers. Okay, for the unique products. Okay, here you could see complete things, right? So you will be having certain what do you say, certain tutorials. Okay, how we can be expert on this particular queries also. Let's say I'll go back here. Azure Kusto query examples. Okay, here is the tutorial. Okay, use Kusto queries. Okay, in Azure Data Explorer and Azure Monitor. Okay, how we can do it. Okay, let's say starting from a basics, like how we can do it. Okay, let's say some certain events I wanted to see the count. Okay, here you could see. Okay, same way. Okay, if at all if I wanted to see certain events or certain timings. Okay, Boolean expressions if you wanted to see. Okay, here you could see. Okay, so this is how. Okay, you can just try with a basic commands executing these particular Kusto queries, and you will get familiar with those. All right, I will be sharing this particular documents. Okay, just try to explore these things, and by taking this capturing these logs, okay, it will take certain time. Maybe after that, okay, you can just try it. Okay, same way, okay, you can just simply go back to any one of the Windows machine also. Let's say I'll go back to any one of the Windows machine. Once the logs are captured, okay, instead of you choosing the scope, what you can do is, okay, you can directly go to the VM, and a VM blade itself, you can navigate to the logs feature under monitoring. Let's say here is the monitor logs, and here you could see certain basic metrics, okay, for the virtual machines. Let's say I wanted to get a memory, okay, available memory. I can just run this particular thing, and I can just click on run. So maybe it is not giving the result because it is still taking certain time. So let's say if at all if I wanted to see a few more queries. Okay, let's say uh, disk space if I wanted to see. Okay, I can just simply put this query, and I can just click on run. Likewise, okay, you can run the many queries, and you can just pin it to the dashboards. Okay, so this is pretty much okay. I wanted to cover it on a log altic workspace level. How we can capture the logs of any subscription and we virtual machines, and how we can perform the queries. And let me quickly talk about Azure Automation Account for today. Okay, why do we use the Azure Automation Account? Okay, to automate any task. Okay, let's say there are 100 VMs. Okay, I wanted to stop those 100 VMs at once, and I wanted to start those 100 VMs at once. Okay, so is it possible doing manual? Okay, it's a very big hectic thing. Okay, so those scenarios, okay, we can automate using automation account. Okay, not only 100 not only starting and stopping the VM. Let's say if at all if you wanted to find out any automation. Okay, I'll give one more example. And let's say one of the example is like you wanted to uh, find out unused public IPs on your virtual machine, and your subscription, I mean to say. So we can just automate this particular task by using the specific runbooks. This runbooks could be PowerShell scripts, or maybe like a Python. Okay, or maybe any other supported language, scripting language. Okay, for automating this particular task. Okay, so let me go ahead and quickly create an automation account. Okay, and we'll see the rest of the options also. So I'll go back to the automation account now. I say automation account. Okay, so let's create an automation account. As the name indicates, we can automate the any task, okay, by using this particular automation account. Let's say I'll say demo automation account. Okay, and this is the subscription, and let me choose the resource group. I'll go with this resource group, and let me go with the wish to yes. And while creating the automation account, we need a logaltic workspace, and here we have certain support metrics. Okay, so let's say Azure automation account logaltics support. Yeah, supported regions, I would say. Supported regions for linked logaltic workspace. Okay, if I come down, okay, if you see your logaltic workspace should be in this region, and your Azure automation account should be in this region, if at all if you wanted to link your workspace to the automation account. Let's say I have created my logaltic workspace in a EAS2S1, and my automation account should be in a EAS2S2. This is very important. Okay, let me cross check here. My where is my automation logaltic workspace I have created? It is in a East to S. So I have to create a automation account in a East to S too. If at all, if I wanted to capture these, if at all, if I wanted to link this particular workspace to the automation account. So let's say here, okay, I will go ahead and create a automation account in a East to S too. Okay, these are the some of the supported mapping we have. So and here you could see create a run as an account. So when you create a run as an account, okay, a separate service principal will be created on our Azure Active Directory. Let me show you that as well. That is the reason I asked you to grant me the global administrator permissions on a AD level Azure. If you see here, if I don't have a Azure global administrator permissions, I cannot create a automation account. That means I cannot create any app registrations on my uh, Active Directory level. So if at all if I wanted to create app registrations, I should have a minimum at least application administrator level or a global administrator. Okay, if I go to this particular here, at this moment I have only LinkedIn. So when I create this particular workspace, a specific automation service principal will be created, and this service principal will authenticate your automation account to Azure subscription. Okay, so let me click on create. And now, if you see, once it is done, okay, you will be able to see the status here now. Okay, at the same time, a service principal will be created here. Okay, and submitting the deployment for the resource group deployment. And once it is done, you will be able to see, okay, that a service account is getting created. When it is getting created, okay, you can go ahead and see that that particular service principal is created also. Can you see now it is creating a service principal, that is run as an account. That service principal act as an intermediate, okay, between your automation account to your Azure tenant to perform certain activities. Okay, here you could see a service principal is created. Let me go back here, and if I do refresh, okay, by default, can you see demo automation account related service principal is created here, and this service principal by default, okay, will be attached to the subscription level also. Let's see that. I go to the IAU, and if I go to the role assignments here, I should be able to see that particular app here. Can you see this particular demo automation account default added as a contributor for your subscription? When you create a service principal on a AD level, that service principal has to be applied on a subscription level minimum contributor role. If you at all if you wanted to authenticate to your subscription. So when I created this automation account, a separate service principal will be created, and it will be added to your subscription also. So this service principal is like an intermediate bridge, okay, whereas to authenticate your subscription while you are performing certain automation. Okay, so let's me come back here. Here is my automation account, and here you could see, okay, so what are the things we can see? Okay, so when you automate certain tasks, okay, we can see monitor those jobs also, how many are running, how many are completed, how many are suspended, and all those stuff. Okay, and for now let me quickly walk you through the certain run books here. Okay, I'll quickly go back to the run books here. So these are the run books. Okay, here you could see the default run books. Okay, so whereas, okay, to automate certain tasks, let's say if I go to the PowerShell gallery, okay, here you could see many run books. Let's say, okay, start Azure VMs, and start stop via VM, schedule VM, set down, start. Okay, so start and stop VMs by tag. Okay, let's say if there are any tags, okay, for the dev, queue, and production, or if at all if you wanted to stop only dev related VMs, we can use this particular run book. Same way, okay, create automation for the Windows hybrid workloads which are running your on premises, and schedule a virtual machine shutdown or start. Okay, we can schedule a certain task. Okay, likewise, okay, we can see many more run books, okay, which are based of Python, which are based out of PowerShell, okay, for many different tasks. Okay, so if at all if you wanted to send certain mails to Office 365, okay, you can see here. Likewise, many more. Okay, so if let's say for example, if I wanted to import certain tasks, okay, let's say I wanted to start VM, I can just go there. Okay, this is the basic PowerShell script. I can just click on import and click on OK, and I need to give the certain name for this. VM stop I'll give, and okay, I'll give certain name and click on OK, and this particular runbook will be imported here. If I come back to this particular automation account, and here if I do refresh, I should be able to see that particular runbook is imported. Can you see now? VM start stop is imported and it is new. Okay, if at all if you wanted to use this particular runbook, we have to publish it. So I will show you that now. And apart from this, okay, this is something like a that you wanted to import from the existing gallery. Or if you wanted to import a already existing runbook, you can do. Let's say I have a one runbook, okay, on my local system. Okay, I wanted to import it. Okay, I can just click on import and I can choose the path. Let's say here, okay, I'll go back to my path where I have this particular runbook, and here, okay, this is my one runbook, okay, which I have. Just to stop and start the VMs, and I can see the runbook type as a PowerShell, and I can just click on create. Okay, this is like a PowerShell runbook, okay, which I already have on my local system. I'm just imported here. This is something like how you can import it. Okay, let me come back here, and here you could see start Azure VM run. Okay, runbook. This is based out of PowerShell. Same way, I can create a new power runbook from directly from here also. Let me click on create, and I can enter the runbook name, and I can say the runbook type, and I can give the description. I can click on create. Okay, so these many ways, okay, we can import the runbooks. So since I have imported one runbook here, okay, let me see how we can use this runbook. I'll go back this runbook, and if at all if you wanted to use this runbook, I have to publish it first. So when I go to this runbook, okay, I don't see start button and other option will be enabled. So let's click on edit option here. And this is the basic runbook, okay, which I have captured. So what it does is, okay, it will just, whatever the command, okay, output we are getting, it is stopping the VMs. Let's say here, okay, I have 3 VMs now. Let me go back. And I wanted to stop this VMs, okay, using this particular runbook. Okay. So which are already up and running. Let me copy the VM's name and I'll put it here. Okay. And the same way, okay, let me put the another one also. This is the basic runbook. Okay, just to show you a demo. So here, okay, I have taken a 3 VMs list. Okay, whereas, okay, you can have a runbook, okay, to capture the list by default, but here, okay, I'm doing it manual. And here you could perform the option, performing the action, like, stop the virtual machine. And let me click on save it. And once you're done with the save, you have to publish it. Let me click on yes. Once you publish it, will be getting a options to enable this runbook. Let me click on start. So this particular runbook is running now, and you can monitor the jobs from automation account home page also. Let's say I'll go back to the automation account here. I'll go to this automation account, and from here, okay, you can see monitor the jobs. Okay, here you will be able to see the account as a 1. Let's see here. You can see the output. 1 VM is stopped successfully. Okay, if I go back to the virtual machine again, let's see. Here you could see 1 is coming now. Okay, 1 job is running, and once it is done, you will be able to see the completed as a legend. Let me go back to the virtual machines, and as on output here, this particular virtual machine VM01 is stopped. This VM has to be stopped. Let me do a refresh. Sometimes you will not get the status here. Let's go back to the VM here, and here the status should be stopped. Let's do refresh here, and maybe it is still performing the action. It is still loading, or else let me do refresh on the top ones. Okay, so let's wait for it. Okay, if you wanted to see any warnings, errors, or logs, okay, you can see it here. and it is already set down this particular VM, okay, and this so and so time, and it is performing on this particular VM. And if I wanted to see any exceptions here, you could see, and if I go back and do a refresh here, and I'll be able to see this particular VM should be stopped. Can you see? Now I'm able to see deallocated. Since I have opened up both the browsers, okay, reflecting the changes might take some time. If you see here, okay, so these two VMs are already stopped. Okay, so if I go back to this particular, okay, I was looking for the different VM. I'm sorry, I have to check this VM. If I do refresh here, I should be able to see the status of these two. Okay, VM1, virtual system VM1, on-premise VM, and it is performing on a Linux now. Okay, these two VMs are set down by default, and it is still running. Okay, once it is done, okay, so you'll be able to see the status, and in between if you wanted to interrupt the job, you can just stop it. And the same way, if you wanted to monitor these actions, you can come down. Okay, so and you can just monitor using this particular jobs here somewhere. Where is it? Schedules. If you wanted to have any schedule, you can do have a schedule, or maybe, yeah, here is the jobs. Okay, so one job is completed already. Okay, if I go back here and if I do refresh, I should be able to see all the VMs are set up. Let's say the same runbook, I wanted to start the VMs now. Okay, I'll go to the runbooks, and this is the runbook, right? Let me make some edits here. So here what I'm doing, I'm keeping it as a stop, right? Let me make it as a start. Okay, when I keep it as a start, I don't need to have a force here. Let me remove it, and let me save this runbook and publish it again, and I'll run it again. This time, okay, I kept the output command as a starting the VM, and let's see that now all this VM should be started as default. Okay, we'll check the status again. Okay, this job will run in the meantime, and quickly, okay, so since we have very limited time, okay, I'll quickly walk you through some more concept, that is update management. Okay, so if you wanted to enable certain patches to your workloads, maybe for your virtual machines, both Windows and Linux, so we can go to this particular update management. Okay, so if you wanted to enable update management for your virtual machines, the prerequisites is you should have a logaltic workspace. Okay, here you could see the subscription, logaltic workspace, and automation account. Okay, this is prerequisite if you wanted to enable the update management. Let's say here, okay, let me choose my workspace. So here is my workspace, and for your workspace, your VMs has to be added by default with the activity which we have already done. Okay, and this is the automation account, and let me click on enable. So if you wanted to perform any patching activities, okay, we have a feature called update management, and this we can achieve it, okay, from the VM lead also. Let's say if I go back to the VM, and here, okay, so under this particular operations, here I have an option called guest and host updates. So when I click on it, same thing, okay, here it will ask, okay, go to update management. So under this update management, okay, here it will ask you start, VM to configure the update management. Both the things is same. Okay, when I go from here, all the VMs will be added. Whatever the VMs are added to the workspace, okay, they will be part of update management. Okay, so it is installing the update management solution in progress. Let's wait for it. Once again, I'm repeating, this is very important. Whenever you wanted to enable update management for patching your workloads for the patches, so you should be having a logaltic workspace to be created, and your VMs to be added into the logaltic workspace, and at the same time you should have a automation account to be created to enable this particular update management. And once it is done, you will be getting a separate view, so whereas you can go ahead and schedule certain patches. So let me come back here, and let me see the status of the servers. Let me go to the VMs at once, and I could see certain VMs are starting and running. That means my automation account runbook is working well and good. Let me go to the jobs. Let's see the status, and it is still running. I can go back to the overview page also, and I can monitor the solution from here as well. Let's say one job is already completed and one more job is running. right? So if at all, if I wanted to see the more things again, okay, go to the jobs only, click on it, and you will be able to see the output here, right? So this is how, okay, we can automate the certain tasks, okay, using this automation account and a Runbook. Let me quickly go back to the update management itself. Yeah, so once I enable update management, okay, here you could see certain, view. So if at all, if I wanted to add the VMs, okay, I can just click on add Azure virtual machines, and here, okay, I can see the list of virtual machine. I can just choose it. That's it, still loading. I can choose all the virtual machine. I can just click on enable. Now this particular update management will be enabled on a complete all the virtual machines. Okay, so once those virtual machines are enabled, okay, you will be able to see it here. And if at all, if you wanted to, add a non-Azure virtual machine, maybe like in your on-premises virtual machine, you can do that from here also. And if at all, if you wanted to settle any patches, I can go here and I can give any name here, like in, let's say, Windows patches, some name, and I can say operating system and what are the items that need to be included. Let's say I'll go with the defaults here. Let me click on OK. Let's choose all. I can just go through what are the options we have it here, and let me add it here and let me click on OK. Same way, okay, if at all, if you wanted to, see certain, virtual machines, okay, I'm selecting the entire computing group itself, and here you could see what type of updates you wanted. Okay, let's say these are all type of updates I have. Let's say I wanted to have only, security updates. I can just choose only security. Or if I wanted only critical updates, I can choose only critical. If I wanted all, I can go with an all. And if you wanted to include or exclude any specific, update patches number, okay, you can enter the KB number, KB ID here. Okay, or else, okay, I'm going with the defaults, and here you can have a schedule. Okay, when you wanted to perform these updates, let's say you can choose the date and you can choose the time zone. Let's say I'll go with an India. Let me keep coming down. Yeah, somewhere here I could see Indonesia, right? Yeah, here it is the Indian Standard Time. And you can see the time and you can say schedule the time and you can just click on OK. And if you wanted to perform it as a recurring, like a frequently, like, daily or weekly or monthly, okay, let's say I wanted to perform on a monthly once. Okay, so on a monthly and what date, okay, you wanted to perform it, let's say every maybe every first. Okay, okay, I can just choose it and I can just, have this particular updates to be done. And if at all, if you wanted to run any scripts here, I can just, include those scripts also here from the automation account itself. And in addition, okay, you can have a maintenance window, how many minutes you wanted for this particular updates to be happen. And once the update is done, okay, you can have an option to whether to reboot the server or not. Let's say if I keep the reboot if required, okay, it will be rebooted by default. And I can say never reboot it also. Let's say, okay, if it is a production server and you do not get any downtime, right? So for that, okay, you can just perform the updates and you can take a downtime later and you can just start rebooting those servers to apply those patches. Okay, and you can say always reboot, and those things you can say and you can just click on create, and based on the schedule and based on the things whatever you have done, so those patches will be automatically applied, right? So before that, okay, so we'll be creating certain change request and all those, process oriented, that okay, once you join, okay, we'll get to know, the process, but on a high level. So this is how, okay, we use automation account to create, to automate certain tasks using runbooks, and at the same time to perform the patches for your workloads, right? So this is pretty much, okay, I wanted to cover it on a automation account also. Okay, so let's say, let me quickly validate our virtual machine. All the virtual machines should be up and running now. Can you see now? Okay, I'm just stopping those virtual machines again manually. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. I wanted to cover it for today, related to each and everything. So maybe probably, and the rest of the topics, okay, we'll see from Monday. And as I said, so by next Friday, okay, we are going to finish our training. So we left off with hardly 3 topics. I will be finishing them by Friday. So let me stop the recording here.